Hello and welcome back to Mental Health Matters. My name is Andrew Ditzel and this is episode 35. Today we have on Michael Maglione. He's going to give a great episode today with a shout out to his mother and all mothers out there celebrating Mother's Day this weekend. I think this is going to be a great episode. We'll be right back after this. All right, so I just gave Michael a brief introduction here. Michael, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Andrew.
Of course. I thought this would be a good opportunity for connecting what I talk about with mental health and how important mothers are in our life. And I know you have a lot of good stuff to share today about how important your mom is in your life.
Yes, indeed. She's been a true instrument to where I am today. Without my mom, I would not. I owe her all the credit in the world. You and I have spoken before. You know a little bit about my past, and losing my dad at a young age was extremely impactful. Can be for anyone, everyone. It was so much for me because I did not know how to handle all that. And even through my mother wanting to guide me and help me, I resisted.
Right.
So, reflecting back, I kind of resented my mom. Looking back now in hindsight, I resented her and took her for granted, as we all do. Right, our parents.
I think you're not alone with that. Not only your situation, just people in general with their parents having those feelings of resentment and trying to figure out really what that's all about.
Right.
But you're saying looking back on it, you could see, wow, my mom was great for me.
Yes, yeah. And you know, youth in our youth days, right? Our childhood and youth, everyone takes it for granted, their parents, right? We think they're going to be there forever. So I resented my mom in a way of like, I didn't have and my sister, as I look back and think about things, because they had that mother-daughter bond, and I yearned to have my father.
Right.
And that male role model, and I didn't. So, and not that I was hateful toward them or angry at them, but I just, and I didn't know this back then. I was 10, 11 years old.
Right.
So I learned to discover this in my, wiser years, right? So, but I yearned to have my male role model. And losing my dad, I was, like his shadow. My aunt actually recently, reminiscing with her, had shared that, you were like your father's shadow. And, in the little amount of years that I had him, and like I mentioned, he passed away. I had just turned 11 years old. So, focusing back on my mom, I mean, she was the most selfless person ever, and wanted the best for all of her kids. I have, an older sister, a younger brother, and it was just a matter of, me embracing, but I didn't know how to embrace then. I was angry with God first and foremost, and being brought up in a faithful family and having all these questions. If there's God, why is this happening?
Right.
But
why would such a terrible thing happen?
Right.
If God is so good.
Yes. Yeah. And one thing that I recall my mother back then and even today sharing is everything happens for a reason. And I hated that answer.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, what's the reason?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
what good reason
right
did this happen for?
Yeah. And although, 30 plus years ago, sitting here 30 plus years ago now, I look back and I still don't know the reason,
Hmm.
but I've accepted it, and I uh, look at things in a way of it could have been very different. I might have been some spoiled kid
Hmm.
that went off the deep end. I don't know, right? We all go through different encounters throughout our life,
Hmm.
and I was always a straight and narrow person
Hmm.
because I never wanted to disappoint my mother, and more importantly, disappoint my father. You know, watching down from heaven. So um, it was something that was always a struggle, but and that everything happens for a reason. I couldn't wrap my head around any of it.
Yeah. That's got to be a hard thing to accept.
Yeah,
That what's the reason? Like that doesn't even make sense to me.
right,
And I think a lot of times, and what we're talking about is grief. That a lot of times, grief and losing someone in your life, it doesn't make sense.
right.
And it's a big mental health topic that we've talked about on here before. We've had guests come on and talk about losing parents and losing people in their lives and how challenging and difficult that is. And I think the big thing is it's hard to understand it because you're feeling a certain way about it. And like connecting that and making sense out of it is so challenging.
Yeah,
So that's got to be tough. And another thing you pointed on, which I really liked, was everybody does have their own path and their own encounters with life. And like you said, if things didn't happen the way they did, who knows what would have happened. So even though it might not make sense, and I feel like I'm saying one of my favorite Bible verses right now, John 13:7.
okay.
It might not make sense now what I'm doing, but later you'll understand.
Amen.
And it's crazy because it kind of goes hand in hand with that what your mom says to you is
Right.
everything does happen for a reason.
Yeah, yeah. And to that point, again, back then I couldn't understand it,
Hmm.
and for many years thereafter, now in hindsight, I sit here and I'm like, okay, I didn't understand. However, it shaped me.
Hmm.
It taught me a lot, right? My mother taught me a lot. Strength, resilience, faithfulness.
Hmm.
I touched on, I know you're a faithful man as well. I was angry at God. However, I still went to church.
Which is a hard thing to do.
I did.
Being angry at
Right.
someone and still showing up for them.
Still showed up. Now, a lot of it was we hear
Get in
about
the
our
car.
mothers, right?
Yeah.
And my mother was the one that was like, "You're going to mass, right?"
You're like, I don't like that guy. I don't like that God guy.
Right,
You're
right.
like 11 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
But she did. She instilled that no matter what, because you could be angry, but we're going to church. And at some point in your life, you'll have a decision to make. And it's funny, I kind of adopted, and as we're talking about this now, a quote that we often hear, right? And I don't know exactly who said it and made it sort of famous or not, but stand for something or fall for everything.
Yes. I love that one. It's actually, I don't know if it's from this song, but I know that line. It's in a song.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that.
And really, like, that's what my mother was teaching me, because in her own way, possibly she might not have even known it, but this is how I receive it and look back now, and uh, you know you need God. Not everybody can accept that or want to, and you don't have to, but in our family we needed it, and she knew that.
Yeah.
She grew up that way. That's the foundation, right? And without a foundation, you can't grow. So it was imperative that I was at mass and helpful, and I became then an altar boy, and it wasn't anything that, as I was saying, I was resisting, but in the back of my mind, I believe it was me wanting to be closer to my father, and that's how I achieved that. I remember on his funeral, I was at his funeral. I remember being seeing the altar boys and that imprinting in my head, and I said I wanted to be there, to be standing next to my dad on the altar and things like
Great.
that. And that's what. And my mother always encouraged, and growing up in an Italian Catholic family and everything. And then when I told her I wanted to do it, she was ecstatic, and my brother became an altar boy as well. And but yeah, so many underlying tones that my mother would put on us and not even realize it. And I was always like, well, why?
Yeah.
And her answer was, because I said so.
Right.
And again, not the answer I was looking for, because I was always very curious, and even still, but now I get it, right? Because sometimes your parents are there to help raise you. They're not there to be your friend. They want to make you the best person that you could be, to get out into this world and be a good person for others, because we need more of that. And my mother was that through and through. She wasn't easy and on us, and always a wonderful person, and still to this day, thank God she's here, and she's as wonderful as she was then, now, and selfless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I love that you said is, you said the word foundation, building a good foundation. And it's so important. And I think about it from even a teaching perspective, teaching math, that you have to have a good foundation, because if you don't, you can't build on it.
Right.
And it sounds like that's what your mom did for you, your brother, and your sister, is built that foundation, and it was on faith, pretty much one of the strongest things you can build the foundation of a family on, at least in my opinion.
Right.
But that's great.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know your brother and sister, but I would say that you turned out pretty well.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
all good stuff. And talking about your mom and connecting this with Mother's Day, I do want to get into a little bit of what your relationship looked like with your mom growing up. We talked about it a little bit and how that evolved over time.
Yeah, so as a young kid, I kind of resisted. I didn't fight with my mother, but I just I couldn't accept certain things, and all she ever wanted to do was help. Back then, she wanted me to speak with a social worker who was probably a therapist. I resisted, and my thought was, I'm not talking to somebody that I don't know, and
Right.
they don't know anything about me and what I'm going through. Again, hindsight, right? It's always 2020. And that person, then all she wanted to do was help me. And I remember I remember her name, I remember her face, still to this day. And she was a lovely person, but I didn't know how to deal with my grief and or communicate that outwardly. But yeah, my mom and I had a decent relationship. And growing up, I tried to make her happy, but not in a way of how we look at things today and doing everything just to. But I needed to be the man of the house. I wanted to help my mom in every way possible, because without my dad around, that's what I felt I needed to be doing. And again, going back to, that's what shaped me into who I am today, right? You got to take the bull by the horn, and you got to do these things. My mother never asked, although, she would encourage or ask us to help out around the house or things along that nature, but that's every family, So I looked at it like, oh, this is different from me because my dad's not here, so now I have to. Yeah, but also, that's learning.
that anybody can relate with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think like you're saying, because you're the oldest brother when your dad passes, there definitely is some responsibility that comes with that. But also you're pointing out, like, that could be anybody, taking responsibility, accountability, and helping out
Sure.
your family in any type of way.
Sure.
But I could definitely see how that could be more of almost a calling with your dad not there.
Yeah, yeah. No, spot on. Yeah, yeah. So, and today you mentioned, just going back to, like, I think you mentioned about how our relationship has evolved through the years, and it's great. As you know, my mother's going through some health challenges right now, and I've seen a lot of change in her, and but in recent years, I'm grateful for my mom. She's been a pillar to our family, and if it weren't for her, none of us would be where we are today. My siblings, that is, and I could honestly sit here and say I owe a lot. I didn't want to go to college after high school. I wanted to just get a job and work. And my mother said, "No, you're going to college." I wasn't the best student in terms of book wise because I didn't apply myself. But I got myself there. She was persistent. She pushed me. She knew, moms know the limits, our limits. We're their kids. It's that maternal instinct.
Yeah.
They know.
It's that sixth sense of them almost.
Yeah. And my mom, she did, and she got me to college, and, by inspiring me and pushing me and demanding. but yeah, and if it weren't for that, and one of my best experiences in my life,
You're saying going away to college?
Going away to college, being in college.
And where did you go?
Iona College.
Iona, okay.
Which was then, it's now Iona University.
Okay.
But, yeah, so, and still to this day, I have my close friends from there, and one of my best friends I just saw a few weeks ago, and, yeah, great experience. I played hockey there for a little bit, and I'm grateful, all because of my mother.
Right. She pushed you.
Encouraged me and pushed me. So, and that was to her point in driving home that she was pushing. It was both my parents' planned for all of us to go to college,
right.
And she would share that. Your father and I, there's one thing we always agreed on, that you're all going to college. It's important you get your education. After that, you could do whatever you want.
I almost see some parallels with the faith a little bit, right? Because you were just saying your mom said you're going to church, you're going every Sunday, and then once you're old enough, then you can decide.
Right.
And then it's like same with college. Once you get your degree, then you're good to do as you please, really.
Yeah.
But I think that's really important, and I would say two great things that supported and shaped you is your faith and your education, which are big for everybody, and I don't want to get too far away from mental health as well here, talking about how important it is to have something, whatever it is. And a lot of times on here, we talk about positive communities and being involved in something that's good for you.
Right.
And how mental health is serious. It's a real thing. And having those communities to be involved with is super beneficial, whatever it might be. You mentioned faith growing up or college, being involved in something that's positive for yourself. And people have all different communities that they get involved in. And I think it's really important. And I like a word you use, imperative. Getting my vocab up here. Imperative to supporting someone's mental health. And it sounds like your mom pushed you in the right direction there to get you really where you needed to be.
Yes. Yeah, I'm grateful. And, we have to put the work in. But in, growing up, you need that encouragement.
Yeah.
You need that push and that guidance, right? I mean, You don't put a baby in the middle of the street and say, okay, cross the street.
Right.
It's about teaching and learning and understanding. And she might not have done it in the ways that I would have liked. She did it in the ways that she knew how.
Right.
And I think in life, we go through a lot of different things like that where we want it to be a certain way, but it's not. So you adapt. And it took me a bit longer to learn how to adapt. But now, again, going back to, evolving in our relationship, I've adapted. I'm more patient, and encouraging, especially now with her condition, and persistent. She's having trouble walking and getting out of bed and hospital bed and all that. But my sister and I, we constantly encourage her and pushing her and just feeding her goodness to get her back. She did that for us.
That's exactly what I was just thinking, because we're talking about that, how she pushed and encouraged you, and now how you get the opportunity to do that for her.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's great.
So,
and you brought up teaching a little bit and like how to teach somebody. And the question that I had for you was, what do you think is the greatest lesson that your mom has taught you? It's a heavy question right there.
yeah.
Because I'm sure she, and like we're talking about, has taught you a lot. But if you were to pinpoint one, what would you say the greatest lesson that your mom taught you is?
One, it's hard to narrow down.
You can go 3, you can go 5, go for it.
I'll say hard work. And that's kind of basic, but I'll add some context to that. But selflessness, forgiveness, and faith. Hard work. My mother, single mom, was a registered nurse and still has her license. And if it were up to her, she'd still be practicing at times. But yeah, as a registered nurse, and she was cleaning houses to keep food on our table and do things, and take care of us and do whatever it took. She did home care, nursing, and in and around Massapequa and surrounding towns, like growing up here and all. And but there were times that I guess patients and the care she had for patients weren't enough, and she chose home care because it gave her that flexibility to be able to be there for us as much as she can, and then also embrace her profession. But there were times that she was cleaning houses, and we never knew it then. She would say, "Oh, I have to go take care of so and so. You have to come with me." But meanwhile, I never saw the so and so. And then one day, when I guess it was asked, she would say, "I clean their house. This is what I do to try to help our family." And even to this day, I'm blown away by it, because she hid this, and I don't know for whatever reason, if there was a reason, but I guess to a degree, but maybe we didn't really ask either. But you do what you have to do, and that's hard work, no matter what.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I lead with that, because it's still mind blowing.
Yeah.
To me, but
that she just took on. There wasn't really a choice. She took on that burden.
Correct.
And she was gonna work. That was it. There was really no choice.
Right.
And she demonstrated that through hard work. And she didn't need to tell you guys, because that's what she was doing.
Right. Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah. She used to say, the patient, or whoever Jane Doe at the time was, right? Yeah. Oh, they're upstairs in their bedroom, and you can't go up there. She was probably cleaning up there, and then she would say to us and encourage, "Oh, why don't you help out and vacuum downstairs so you could help them out a little bit?" And how many lessons were taught in that?
And you're not even realizing, like, oh. Because like you said, how old? 11, 12?
12, 13. So, yeah. And there were a lot of times I'm like, I don't want to be here. You know, like, why am I here? But again, it was, it's what you had to do, right? Your mom was at work and she would take us along because she didn't have a babysitter always or a nanny or whatever other help in ways. My grandparents were around, but, you know, they had their own lives too. And my mother never wanted to depend on people.
Right.
So again, coming through hard work and determination and, you know, selflessness.
Yeah,
She
that was the
wanted to
second
do
one
it
you
for
said.
herself, right? And in terms of not relying on others, and but then even trying to do everything that she can to provide as good of a life for all of us as she can. She did the best with what she had and what she knew, and it was, you know, however I got to get this done in the most positive way, right? I
Yeah.
mean, she could have fallen off herself.
Right.
You know, a 40-year-old woman, my father died, he was 43. And, you know, whatever she was at the time, around 40 years old, 40-year-old widow with 3 children.
Yeah.
I mean, that could lead you down many different
Yeah.
controversial paths.
Right.
And, yeah, she made it look pretty easy.
Yeah.
And you know, and looking back, it was her faith that pulled her through.
I love that.
She never wavered. Never ever wavered. I've never seen her not go to church, not say her prayers, even to this day. So, yeah.
I love that. That's huge. And I think faith sounds like it's a driving, almost like the moral of what we're talking about in this episode, that between raising you guys, keeping you going, keeping you on, and for her too, is faith that got her through. You said hard work, selflessness. You also mentioned a great word and great characteristic, which is forgiveness. That's, and I'm interested. How did she teach you that?
Simple examples. I mean, fighting with your siblings. You
Yeah.
all fight growing up in ways, or our friends, and you know, we'd get upset over, I don't know, he took my bike without asking or something. But and you wouldn't want to talk to whomever, whether it was your closest friend growing up. You know, we had our good friends that lived a house away and still are close with them to this day. But there were times where, you know, you would have a little tiff, a little whatever, and she would say, "Okay, let it out," and that's it, and move on. You know, and apologize to your sister or your brother. My sister and I were like oil and water a
Yeah,
lot,
you were
and
saying a
still
little
to
bit.
this day, in ways, I love her to death. But we just have different, you know, personalities, and that's okay. And I've accepted and our differences, and we both have, and that's what's brought us close throughout the years, and even today. But my mother would always say, and even still, don't fight with your brother, don't fight with your sister. You know, they're all you have. And she wouldn't necessarily tell us, I guess she would encourage to apologize, but it wasn't always go say I'm sorry and be in their face. But, you know, you're not fighting with this one, and you're not, you know, that's who you have. That's your family. You love them no matter what.
Kind of moving forward no matter what you go through with them.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good mindset, and I think a
Yeah.
good thing to instill in people and to learn and to know. I think it's very easy, and I see it, I think about it with young children, you know, like we talk about the example, he took my bike, he like
Right.
silly stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then as I'm getting older, I'm starting to see how I know a lot of people who don't forgive people for things and how important it is, you know, and holding on to that stuff. And I think forgiveness is so important because when you don't forgive somebody, you're holding on to it yourself. And it's something I'm learning and growing with. And it's like, I can get so angry and so upset and so pissed off at this person, or they did that, or this action happened, and I'm worked up about it. And at the end of the day, it's like, it's hurting me.
Right.
So I think that idea of forgiveness, and it's a big faith-driven idea, but even just from a mental health perspective, if you want to get out of your own way, stop holding all this hate and anger
Right.
and negative feelings towards other people, and use forgiveness as a tool to help you out.
Amen. Right. Forgiveness, I think we all kind of at times make it seem like, oh, it's weakness.
Yeah.
It's not weakness, it's strength. It's empowering. And the forgiveness isn't necessarily always for the other person. It's yourself.
Usually it is for yourself.
Right. It's recognizing, you know what? You don't want that. Whatever that was, that anger or being upset or not, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It's moving forward, like you touch on in reference to my mom. But the forgiveness is for ourselves.
Right.
It's empowering, gives us strength and balance. Right. So, and I'm speaking for myself. Growing up, I would always think like, oh, if I'm saying I'm sorry to somebody, and forgiving them, I'm showing I'm weak.
I think a lot of people feel that, where it's not the case.
No.
It's actually, like you said, the stronger thing to do.
Yeah, it's
definitely
the
the harder
opposite.
thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
But
absolutely.
it sets you free a little bit,
It
know,
is.
where it's like to take yourself to that point to be like, I am sorry,
Yeah.
or I forgive you, and like getting there, that it does relieve that
Yeah.
burden, whatever
yeah.
it might be. And that's great that your mom was able to instill that in you and your siblings as well
Right.
from a young age.
Yeah. And still today, I mean, she does. She's tough, but she'll, gotta forgive.
Yeah.
You gotta. And, what would Jesus do?
That right,
Right
here.
There you
Got
go.
my bracelet on.
Right. I know. I saw it. And, right. Did he hold grudges?
No way.
No. He helped to educate and make us all better.
I think about it all the time. Situations come up, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Work, driving, with friends.
Oh, yeah.
Getting caught up and being like, what would Jesus do right now?
Mm-hmm.
Literally asking myself that. I feel like I have it on my wrist, and it could be like a cliche saying, like, oh, what would Jesus do? But like to actually ask yourself in a situation that's challenging, what would Jesus do right here? It's like, oh, he would do that, not what I'm about to do.
Yeah. I was very reactive in my youth and didn't know how to necessarily control my anger. And not that I was dangerous to anyone or anything, probably more to myself.
Right.
But,
more self-destructive.
Right. But
Yeah.
I didn't know the differences. And then, as we get older, we get wiser. And
Or try to at least,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Amen. Right. Yeah. So
Yeah. That's good. And it sounds like, those are all great lessons that I think anybody would like to learn. Just to reflect, we had hard work, selflessness, forgiveness, and faith.
oh yeah.
4 big ones right there.
Yes. Tremendous.
We're doing this episode. Shout out to your mother.
Yes.
My mother. Happy Mother's Day as well.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom. We love our moms.
Yes. Big shout out to the mothers and how important they really are to our lives. If there is one thing that you would want your mom to know on Mother's Day, what would that be?
Wow.
A lot of these questions you can go a bunch of different ways with them.
She was right about everything. And I may have cheated on that a little bit because I believe my sister had gotten my mother a picture or saying of something, and my mom has it up in her kitchen, and it literally says, "Mom was right about everything," and it's true. I mean, when we're kids, and even still, our parents are older. They've lived for more years and have seen more. But as kids, we're like, yeah, okay, we know what's best.
Yeah.
And through guidance, college, even, right? I could go on and on about different aspects of where I would say, oh, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and she would encourage something else, and she was right, right? I mean, but yeah, and my mom would often say the young is wasted on the youth, and
I've never heard that one before.
it's, we as kids, you have so much freedom and availability and no responsibilities, and then but you don't have that perspective on how to use that all effectively.
Wow. I like that.
Right?
That's good.
But as we get older, you get wiser.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the old man. He's a wise man. And it's, and I see so much more clearly as I've gotten, wiser, I like to say.
Yeah.
And it's so true. I can understand that quote, and I believe a couple of gentlemen, and one was Oscar Wilde it's referenced to, and I don't know if she got it from that or just picked it up along the way herself, but it's true. She had so much wisdom and still does, and it was, she's right about everything. And even if we didn't want to necessarily admit it,
right?
Because who wants to tell your mom or your dad or whomever you have as a guardian, oh yeah, you're right. No, it's like forgiveness. It's really hard to accept that, right? So, but yeah, she's. I'm grateful, and we use gratefulness a lot, but I'm just grateful for the lessons she's taught. Even for example, we would say as kids, we want to, oh, why aren't we having hamburger helper? My friends are having hamburger helper or this or that, and she's slaving over and making a beautiful home cooked meal. And now I'm like, oh wow, I'm so glad that I had that than hamburger helper all the time. And no disrespect to hamburger helper or anybody else out there. And sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But my mom did. She worked hard and put good food on our table because understood the importance.
Right.
And even that, as we were talking prior to this, I think I have my holistic approaches in what I put in my body now. And as we're talking here, it's the lights going off. My mother put that in there.
Yeah.
Even if she didn't know she was doing it, but and that wasn't the lesson for then. But now I carry that.
Right.
So but I'm grateful. I have a deep gratitude. And that's one of the things, and you were right about everything, Mom. And I have a deep gratitude for my mom, and I love her dearly. So
It's beautiful. I think what a good example, like, to look back and think about, right? Like, your mom cooking, making sure she's cooking, right? And it's like, when you're a kid, you probably don't think much of it, like, oh, like I'm on hamburger helper, But then now looking back and seeing how something that you didn't even realize happening, what it was really doing for you the whole time.
Right.
And like you were saying before, you don't even know what her day was, how hard she was working all day long
Right.
to scrap things together for your family. And now she's coming home and cooking you guys a meal too, and gonna do the same thing again tomorrow.
Right.
Like that, I feel that, like that work ethic and that drive for one reason, because she cares and loves about you guys.
Yes.
And I think your mom and many moms out there have that it's, because I could speak for my mom as well, that she's the rock, like she's solid, a cornerstone in a lot of what goes on in my family.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
And just a small example, right? Like, you don't even think about it. It's like, holy, she was cooking every single night. Like,
Yeah.
responsibility and things that, you don't think about. And then you look back and you say, holy cow, my mom is a freaking champion.
Yeah.
Like, no joke.
Right.
She really is.
Yeah.
And I think that's great that you could say that. And I could see it, like how much you love your mom and care for her, and inspires me too. So
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So, it's incredible. You touched on, I draw a blank right now, but, how she gave us those lessons and not even knowing it. And, but yeah, working hard, coming home, putting a hot meal on the table, and making sure her kids were well taken care of no matter what.
I love that. And never giving up. I try to end every episode talking about my faith. We kind of introduced it, and we've been talking about it pretty much the whole episode, and how important your faith is and how your mom instilled that in you guys. How would you say your mom supported you along your faith journey? Like, I know we talked about growing up, she definitely pushed you to not to be an altar boy, but it's definitely something she supported, and getting you to church. But now looking back on it as, a man, and really that faith and how she supported you with that in your life.
Right. As I touched on earlier, faith was always a staple. Our religion and prayer. Every meal, sit down, would say grace, and still to this day. And I do wherever I am. Doesn't matter what meal. I'm saying my prayer and thanking God for that meal in front of us. And through the years, though, she always encouraged. And I use that lightly, but maybe forced, right? But she knew what we needed, and going back, I think when I through all the years, I resented her in ways, and not that I was hateful, I don't want to misconstrue, but
Right.
I just resented because I yearned for my dad. But, you touched on just a moment ago, it's, I needed my mom probably more than I needed my father, because she taught me, and I don't want to make that sound like I didn't need my dad, but my mom just filled both those roles so well, and if it were reverse, what would that have looked like?
Right.
you know.
Probably a thought that you've thought about.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. And but through faith, right? Our moms in general know what's best.
Mm-hmm.
Women have a little bit more than men in the the knowledge area and knowing what's best and what's right.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to faith, it's what she knew. It's
Mm-hmm.
what she grew up with. And she, instilled that in us and would tell us, you got to say your prayers, rely on God. God is going to pull you through. And you're everything happens for a reason. We might not know now, but one day you will see.
Yeah.
And, God will help you understand.
Mm-hmm.
Say your prayers. And it was she knew more than what we could understand.
Right.
And still to this day, I mean, like I mentioned, she's in her hospital bed saying her novenas and all of her prayers and praying for her laundry list of people, others still, while she's, in her own suffering. And, but it's funny, and we know each other from church, and to this day, and being so involved in our church now, my mom will say, well, I introduced you to Monsignor, and, so on and so forth. So she's led me from then to even now,
Yep.
and my journey in and activity in the church today. So I'm grateful, and faith is just always going to be in me,
Right.
and even through the darkest times, and we still have them, right? We each have a cross to bear.
Yep.
Jesus carried his own. His father, gave him that, and right, in a way, and it was to prove to us, like, he was human, he did all this, and so the lesson in it too is, my father died, as a younger man, but he had to carry his cross. That was his cross. And now my mom's going through her battle, and she has her cross to bear, and we all do. But
Yep.
that's why we got to continue to pray to Jesus, pray to God. They've gone through it. Jesus has gone through it, and it's only going to help us and strengthen us. And when we're too weak to walk alone, right, that footprints.
Yep.
And Jesus is there carrying us, and
Absolutely.
we don't even realize it. And
I think a really important part about faith is the relationship with Jesus, kind of like what we're talking about here. And for me, a lot of that relationship comes through prayer, which you mentioned, that your mom was say your prayers, and still to this day you pray before every meal.
yes,
I think having a relationship with Jesus is so important. And I also think there's another piece that goes into prayer. And you've touched on it, talking about gratitude. And when you do pray, how important that is for you, not only spiritually, but also mentally as well. And for people listening to this about mental health and talking in terms of mental health, prayer is huge. It really is, to express that gratitude and what it chemically does mentally for you as well, which is really important. So
right.
I think it's a great piece. And there's so many good practices with our faith, between prayer, showing up, and everything that your mom instilled in you and your siblings as well.
Right.
So
Right.
thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, amen. I'm blessed. We're blessed, and it's strengthening our relationship with Jesus through prayer, and it's key, for me, and
For me too.
Yeah, and it's just without it, there's no foundation to me. That is my foundation.
Yeah. All started by mom.
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
I love it.
Yeah.
Michael, you've been an awesome guest today.
Hey, thanks, Andrew.
I appreciate
Thanks
you
for
having
me,
on.
man.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate you.
Of course. Guys, thank you for tuning in to today's episode with Michael Maglione, talking about his experience with his mom. Awesome stuff to talk about today. And happy Mother's Day to all moms out there, for everything they go through, for really the selflessness that we talked about today, putting their family, their children, and everybody else first. So happy Mother's Day. Your mental health matters, and you are not alone with what you're going through. We'll see you back here next time.